What if some of the best vegetable gardening secrets weren't coming from modern gardening books, but from communities that have been quietly growing massive harvests for generations? The Amish are known for producing incredibly productive gardens, using simple natural methods that have been passed down for decades. No expensive gadgets, no complicated chemicals, just smart techniques that work with nature instead of against it. And the results speak for themselves. Healthier soil, stronger plants, and harvests that seem almost unbelievable. Here on Daily Plant Life, we love uncovering these kinds of forgotten gardening secrets. In today's video, we're diving into 10 powerful Amish vegetable gardening hacks that many modern gardeners have never heard of. But once you learn them, you'll wish you had known them years ago. These are practical tricks that help vegetables grow stronger, produce more food, and stay healthier throughout the season. Make sure you stick around to the end because some of these techniques might look simple at first, but they can completely transform the way your garden performs. Let's get started. Hack number 1, deep straw mulching. One of the most recognizable techniques used in Amish gardens is deep straw mulching, and it plays a huge role in why their soil stays healthy and productive year after year. Instead of applying a thin decorative layer of mulch like many modern gardeners do, the Amish spread a thick blanket of straw that can be anywhere from 6 to 12 inches deep around their vegetable plants. At first glance, it might look excessive, but this heavy layer of organic material completely transforms the growing environment beneath it. The thick straw covering acts as a powerful shield for the soil. During hot summer days, sunlight never directly hits the ground, which keeps the soil much cooler and prevents moisture from evaporating too quickly. This means the roots of the plants remain consistently moist and comfortable even during long dry periods. Because of this, many Amish gardeners find they only need to water occasionally, even during the hottest weeks of the growing season. The straw essentially creates a natural climate control system for the soil. Over time, the straw begins to slowly break down and decompose, feeding the soil with organic matter and improving its structure. Where earthworms and beneficial microbes are drawn to this environment, gradually turning the soil into a rich, dark, crumbly foundation that plants thrive in. At the same time, weeds struggle to grow because the thick mulch blocks sunlight from reaching weed seeds. This simple method reduces watering, improves soil health, and dramatically cuts down the amount of weeding required in the garden. Hack number 2, trench planting tomatoes. Whilst tomatoes are one of the most important crops in many Amish gardens, and they have a unique way of planting them that many modern gardeners overlook. Instead of placing tomato seedlings straight down into a small hole, Amish gardeners often dig a shallow trench in the soil and lay the tomato plant on its side, gently bending the stem and covering most of it with soil. Only the top portion of the plant remains above ground, while the majority of the stem is buried beneath the surface. This method works because tomato stems have a remarkable ability to produce roots along any section that is buried underground. When the stem is placed horizontally in a trench, dozens of tiny roots begin forming along the entire buried section of the plant. This creates an incredibly large and powerful root system compared to the single root ball that develops when tomatoes are planted upright in a traditional hole. And a larger root system means the plant can absorb far more water and nutrients from the soil, which leads to stronger growth and higher yields. Trench-planted tomatoes are also more stable and less likely to topple over during storms because their roots spread widely beneath the soil. Many gardeners who switch to this method notice their tomato plants become noticeably stronger, produce larger harvests, and continue bearing fruit longer into the growing season. Hack number 3, burying organic matter under plants. Another powerful Amish gardening practice happens before the plant even goes into the ground. Instead of simply planting into plain soil, many Amish gardeners place organic materials directly beneath the planting area before setting the plant in place. This could include kitchen scraps, compost, aged manure, decomposed leaves, or grass clippings. When these materials are buried a few inches below the root zone, where they slowly break down and release nutrients over time. As this buried organic matter decomposes, it creates a steady supply of nutrients that feeds the plant gradually throughout the growing season. Unlike synthetic fertilizers that provide a quick burst of nutrients and then fade away, decomposing organic material continues releasing valuable minerals for weeks or even months. And this slow and steady feeding process helps plants grow more naturally without sudden growth spurts that can weaken them. In addition to providing nutrients, buried organic matter also improves the soil's ability to retain moisture. As the material breaks down, it acts like a sponge beneath the surface, absorbing water during rainfall or watering and slowly releasing it back into the surrounding soil. This helps protect plants during dry periods and keeps the root zone consistently hydrated. Over time, this technique builds richer soil and creates a healthier ecosystem of microorganisms that support strong plant growth. Hack number 4, saving seeds from the strongest plants. Another powerful tradition in Amish gardening is seed saving, but they approach it in a very strategic way. Instead of randomly collecting seeds from any plant in the garden, Amish gardeners carefully observe which plants perform the best throughout the growing season. They pay attention to factors like size, to flavor, productivity, resistance to pests, and overall plant health. Only the strongest, most productive plants are chosen as seed sources for the next year. By saving seeds from the best-performing plants, gardeners are essentially guiding the evolution of their crops over time. Each season, the plants that handle the local climate, soil conditions, and pests the best are the ones that pass their genetics on to the next generation. Over several years, this selective process can produce vegetable varieties that are perfectly adapted to that specific garden. The result is plants that grow stronger and require less intervention year after year. This practice also helps preserve heirloom varieties that might otherwise disappear. Many Amish communities continue to grow traditional vegetable varieties that have been passed down through families for generations. These plants often have richer flavors, unique colors, greater resilience than some modern commercial hybrids. By saving seeds each year, gardeners maintain a living connection to these historic crops while ensuring their garden remains self-sufficient. Perhaps most importantly, seed saving reduces the need to purchase new seeds every season. Once gardeners learn the process, they can maintain a steady supply of seeds from their own harvest. This not only saves money but also builds a deeper understanding of the plants themselves. Over time, the garden becomes a self-sustaining system where each harvest helps prepare the next one. Hack number 5, rainwater collection. One of the most practical and efficient habits in Amish gardening is their commitment to collecting and using rainwater. Instead of relying entirely on well water or municipal water systems, Amish gardeners take advantage of every rainfall by directing water from their roofs into large barrels or storage tanks. These rain barrels are often placed beneath the downspouts of barns, homes, and garden sheds, allowing them to capture hundreds of gallons of water throughout the growing season. What makes rainwater so valuable for gardens is that it's naturally soft and free of many of the chemicals found in treated tap water. Plants tend to absorb rainwater more easily, and the soil ecosystem responds better to it as well. Beneficial microbes, earthworms, and other soil organisms thrive when exposed to untreated water, creating a healthier environment around the plant roots. Over time, this healthier soil life contributes to stronger plants and better harvests. There is also an important temperature advantage. Water coming from deep wells or underground pipes can sometimes be quite cold, especially early in the season. When this cold water is poured directly onto plants, it can shock their roots and temporarily slow their growth. Rainwater stored in barrels, on the other hand, gradually warms to the outdoor temperature. When it's used to water the garden, it feels much more natural to the plants and avoids the stress that colder water can cause. Beyond plant health, rainwater harvesting simply makes sense from a sustainability perspective. Amish communities value efficiency and self-reliance, and capturing rainfall ensures that nothing goes to waste. During dry spells, the stored water becomes incredibly valuable, allowing gardeners to keep their crops hydrated without increasing their water costs or overusing local water supplies. It's a simple practice that turns something as ordinary as a rainstorm into a powerful gardening resource. Hack number 6, crushed eggshells for calcium and pest deterrence. One of the simplest but most surprisingly effective tricks used in Amish gardens involves something most people throw away every day: eggshells. Instead of discarding them, Amish gardeners rinse the shells, allow them to dry, and then crush them into small pieces before adding them to the soil around vegetable plants. This small step provides multiple benefits that can significantly improve plant health. Eggshells are naturally rich in calcium, an essential nutrient that plays a critical role in plant development. Calcium helps strengthen plant cell walls, allowing plants to grow sturdier stems and healthier leaves. For certain vegetables, especially tomatoes and peppers, adequate calcium levels can help prevent common problems like blossom end rot, a condition where the bottom of the fruit becomes dark and sunken due to nutrient imbalance. When the crushed shells are mixed into the soil, they slowly break down and release calcium over time. This gradual release acts as a gentle, long-lasting supplement rather than an instant fertilizer. Because the nutrients become available slowly, plants receive consistent support throughout their growth cycle rather than experiencing sudden nutrient spikes. There's also another advantage many gardeners notice. The rough, jagged edges of crushed eggshells can help discourage certain soft-bodied pests like slugs and snails from crawling toward tender plants. While it isn't a perfect barrier, the texture can make the soil surface less inviting for these pests. In Amish gardens where natural solutions are preferred over chemical treatments, this simple recycling of kitchen waste provides both nutrition for the soil and a small layer of pest protection. Hack number 7, compost tea feeding. One of the most powerful natural fertilizers used in Amish gardens is something called compost tea. Instead of applying compost only to the soil surface, Amish gardeners often soak finished compost in water for several days, creating a dark, nutrient-rich liquid that can be poured directly around plants or sprayed onto leaves. This liquid becomes a concentrated infusion of beneficial microbes, minerals, and organic nutrients. The process itself is simple but extremely effective. A bucket or barrel is filled with water, then a bag of finished compost is submerged and allowed to steep, almost like brewing a giant pot of tea. Over time, microorganisms from the compost multiply in the water, creating a living solution packed with beneficial bacteria and fungi. When this mixture is applied to the garden, or it introduces these helpful organisms directly into the soil ecosystem. What makes compost tea so valuable is the speed at which plants can respond to it. While solid compost takes time to break down and release nutrients, compost tea delivers them in a more readily available form. Plants can absorb these nutrients quickly, which often leads to noticeable improvements in leaf color, plant vigor, and overall growth within a short period of time. The Amish gardeners also appreciate compost tea because it stretches the value of their compost supply. Instead of using large amounts of compost in a single area, a small batch can be brewed into dozens of gallons of liquid fertilizer. This allows them to feed large gardens efficiently while still relying entirely on natural materials produced right on their homestead. Hack number 8, delayed staking. Most gardeners rush to stake their tomatoes and other tall plants as soon as they start growing, but Amish gardeners often take the opposite approach by intentionally delaying staking until the plant has developed stronger stems and deeper roots. This technique encourages the plant to support itself naturally during the early stages of growth. When young plants grow without immediate support, they must rely on their own structural strength. When the stems gradually thicken and toughen as they respond to wind, rain, and natural movement. This process is similar to how trees develop stronger trunks when exposed to natural outdoor conditions, rather than being protected from every breeze. By allowing the plant to grow freely for a while, the root system also tends to expand more aggressively. The plant searches deeper and wider for water and nutrients, which leads to a stronger foundation beneath the soil. Once the plant reaches a certain size, stakes or cages are then added to support the heavy fruit load later in the season. This method often produces sturdier plants that are less likely to snap or collapse during storms. While it may look a little messy in the early stages, the long-term result is a stronger, more resilient plant that can handle the weight of a heavy harvest without constant intervention. Hack number 9, intentional water stress after establishment. One of the most counterintuitive Amish gardening tricks involves something called intentional water stress. Once plants are fully established and have developed strong root systems, Amish gardeners sometimes reduce watering slightly for short periods of time. This controlled stress encourages plants to grow deeper roots in search of moisture. When water is always readily available near the soil surface, plants tend to keep their roots shallow. But when moisture becomes slightly harder to reach, the plant adapts by pushing its roots deeper into the soil. These deeper roots allow the plant to access hidden reserves of water and nutrients that shallow-rooted plants never reach. This deeper rooting system can make a huge difference during hot summers or unexpected dry spells. Plants that have learned to search for water underground are much more resilient and capable of surviving periods of drought. In many cases, they also produce stronger growth and better yields because they're tapping into a larger underground nutrient supply. Of course, this technique requires balance. The goal is not to let plants dry out completely, but rather to create small periods where they must work a little harder to find water. Amish gardeners carefully observe their plants and soil conditions to ensure the stress remains mild and beneficial rather than harmful. Hack number 10, deep transplant shock on purpose. The final Amish gardening hack might sound strange at first, intentionally transplanting seedlings deeper than most gardeners normally would. While many gardeners try to avoid transplant shock at all costs, Amish growers sometimes use deeper transplanting as a way to stimulate stronger plant development. For certain crops like tomatoes, burying a portion of the stem underground can actually trigger the plant to produce additional roots along the buried stem. These extra roots dramatically increase the plant's ability to absorb water and nutrients. The result is a much stronger root system compared to plants that were planted at the same depth as their seedling container. In the first few days after transplanting, the plant may appear slightly stressed as it adjusts to its new environment. But once it recovers, the deeper root system allows it to grow more vigorously than before. Many Amish gardeners believe this early adjustment period helps the plant become tougher and more adaptable throughout the rest of the season. This method also anchors the plant more securely in the soil. When storms or strong winds arrive, deeply planted seedlings are far less likely to topple over because their root systems have a stronger grip on the ground. Over time, this small planting trick can lead to healthier plants and larger harvests. That's it. 10 powerful Amish gardening hacks that can completely change the way you grow vegetables. These simple techniques have been used for generations to grow stronger plants, healthier soil, and bigger harvests without relying on expensive products or complicated systems. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video and subscribe to Daily Plant Life for more simple, practical gardening tips like this. Also, tell me down in the comments which hack you're going to try first and where you're watching from. Thanks for watching Daily Plant Life, and I'll see you in the next video.